I'm going to give you a little tip that comes up in Unit 11 of your book, but that will help you make a good impression in your speaking exam. And it's about using if sentences in your speaking exam. This is also known as the conditional mood, and the one I'm thinking of is known as the second conditional. I prefer to call them unreal sentences because they are talking about situations that aren't real. Let's have a look at it. So these conditional sentences show that you're a level 1 student, or that's the idea, and they're formed with one half of the sentence beginning with if and the other half containing the word would plus a verb in the infinitive form. So, for example, if you won the lottery, what would you spend the money on? Okay, now there's not a big chance of winning the lottery. I should know, I play it every week. There is another variation of this where we, after the if, we can say could. So we can say, if you have the chance to do this, we can just say, if you could. For example, if you could choose to live anywhere in the world, where would you live? And unfortunately, there, of course, we can't choose because we're kind of stuck where we are. But if you could choose, where would you live? Okay, let's have a look at some examples. These are possible examples for your exam. If you didn't live in Bedford, where would you live? Okay, but you do live in Bedford. And the answer to that one, I would live by the sea. I would live in my country. I would live somewhere hot. Okay, you don't need to do the full sentence. If you want to, though, you can say, if I didn't live in Bedford, I would live on Gran Canaria, wherever it is. Okay, if you had enough money, would you stay in Bedford? Yes, I would. No, I wouldn't. If you could do any job, what kind of job would you do? If you could change one thing about your life, what would you change? I would change where I live. I would like to live in a big house with a big garden. If you could learn something new, what would you learn? I would learn how to program a computer and hack into the lottery. No. If you were Prime Minister, what would you change about the UK? I would make every bathroom have a mixer tap. Okay, it doesn't need to be a serious answer, but we're going to begin the answer with I would do something. Okay, and the other thing I wanted to say is that you can begin without the if. You can put the if in the middle of the sentence. Would you still go to work if you had enough money to live a normal life? Is exactly the same as if you had enough money to live a normal life, would you still go to work? So we can begin with the if, we can begin with the would. It doesn't really matter except for the commas that hopefully are in every sentence. Okay, so there's some example sentences for you. If you look at the verb after the if you had looks like the past, and if you didn't live is the negative. Okay. If you were prime minister, but you aren't prime minister. Okay, so when we have these unreal sentences after the if, it looks like the past simple, but it isn't. We're talking about now. If you were prime minister, but I'm not prime minister. If you had enough money, but I don't have enough money. If you didn't live in Bedford, but I live in Bedford. Okay, so don't worry about the form, but just find us a couple of sentences to ask, and it will impress the examiner. If you do want to know a little bit more about it, we're not going to look at the grammar in detail, but after the if, the verb is in the form of the past simple, but we're talking about the present or the future. Okay. If I met you for lunch, what would you eat? Yeah, that's talking about the future because the restaurants are closed. I wouldn't recommend the third conditional because it deals with things that you can't change from the past. That's the if you had done something, what would you have done? Okay, forget it for the moment, but you can have a look in the back of the book, page 162, if you want to check it. Okay, I hope that helps. And please choose one or two of these and learn them for your exam. Okay.